Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Dr. Ada Low, Associate Professor at the School of Hotel and Tourism Management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Welcome to our class HTM 534X, Managing Marketing in Hospitality and Tourism Business. So, today we're going to talk about an interesting topic about smartness as well as real time. So we all as consumers, we're very used to having information at our fingertips. At home, we make use of information to help us make decisions. Well, even when we travel, we do expect that information, the availability of information, the quality of information, and also when we're receiving the information will also help us to make decisions of when we are at a destination, when we travel. So today, we do have the honor of having a speaker here with us, Professor Dimitrios Buhalis. He is our visiting professor here at SHTM for this semester, and he is also the director of the Tourism Lab and deputy director of the International Center for Tourism and Hospitality Research at Bournemouth University. He's also a highly sought after international speaker and conference facilitator. So today, Professor Buhalis is going to share with us his views about smart and real-time tourism marketing. So the stage is yours, Professor Buhalis.
Thank you very much, Ada. Great to share some views with you this afternoon and have a conversation with colleagues from around the world on how we are going to be in a position to restart the tourism industry globally, and also how can we take advantage of the new methodologies and the new strategies that are available to us through smartness and smart tourism. I'd like to take you through some slides, and then hopefully that will create a lot of discussion afterwards, where people will be thinking about how they're going to employ some of these things in their own context and their own environment. I don't know if you can see, you should be able to see my first screen. Yeah. Okay. So it's really about smartness and smart tourism, Nowness and ambient tourism. And it's really about how we can take advantage of the developments that are happening in technology to create environments that are much more agile and much more clever in the way we're dealing with different things. A little bit of the promotion, as you know, I'm the editor-in-chief of Tourism Review and the Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing, and we are addressing a lot of these things on those journals, plus a lot of my own research that you'll see at the end, where we are addressing, we're doing research in finding out how those things can apply to things. Now, there's been so much crisis in the last 2 years or 3 years in Hong Kong that it's really important to actually put a time tag so people know when we are actually having this conversation. So it is Thursday, 3rd of March in 2022 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Hong Kong time. And the headlines on the Financial Times today is all about the Ukrainian crisis and how what's happening with Russia and Ukraine and what's happening to the world, because we're almost getting to the Third World War. On the other side, the South China Morning Post is the cover from yesterday, where we're almost going to a lockdown in Hong Kong after so many years. So this is the context that we're dealing with that. And this is a lot of crises that we've been dealing with in the last 2 to 3 years, depending where you are. And what we need to do is we need to get to a situation where we need to manage tourism at the era of crisis. And crisis is not an unusual thing anymore. It's a thing that's happening habitually, and it's a thing that we see all the time. And that has got global implications. And in order to actually manage tourism in this kind of different context, we need a whole range of new tools and new strategies that will enable us to go to the next stage. Because so far, the vast majority of the tourism and hospitality management marketing techniques are legacy techniques that they've been with us for about 30 to 40 years. So we are going to a new stage, because what has happened because of COVID and all the other crises that we've seen is that the tourism industry globally has become at the standstill. So nothing is moving, very, very little activity is happening, and we are desperately trying to recover some of the activity. I love this picture. This is from Ubud Arts Market, my favorite market in Bali, in Indonesia, where people say no tourists, no food, and people cannot actually make a livelihood if tourism is not coming back. And this is from Australia at the Cairns Chapukai Aboriginal Cultural Park that managed to close forever because of the crisis. And these nice guys are out of employment and they're facing main difficulties. And this is the Baboonis farm in Naxos Island, where I met George, and he said, look, if we don't have tourists, we cannot sell our cheese. So globally, tourism is suffering dramatically. Now, within the crisis, I've come forward from the beginning of COVID, and I said, we really need humanity, solidarity, leadership, and resilience. Those things are the things that are going to get us out of crisis. And a lot of people keep telling me, but how much can solidarity and humanity can I show? Because actually it has become really, really difficult for me to survive in the last few years. But I think it's a test, and it's a test of resilience, and it's a test of how we can manage in a better way so we can rely on our resources and our people and our customers to survive in the future and go to the future. And the future will be bright, and the future will be nice. And we know that after every storm, there's a rainbow. And I'm absolutely certain that there will be a rainbow for the global tourism industry, but it takes a little bit of time to go through. Now, one of the things to manage these things is really to get herd immunity through vaccination. And also, we really need to start looking to how we can use the new tools of smartness and agility in order to create resilience. This is me last summer in Greece, in Naxos Island, celebrating the completion of the Encyclopedia from my part. And as you can see on top of the Encyclopedia, the cover is from Naxos Island. So I had to go on location and pay respect to God Apollo when I finished the Encyclopedia. But the Encyclopedia, what the Encyclopedia is doing is bringing together a range of different tools. So it brings the smart pyramid that encapsulates everything that has been written, the 1,250 entries. And the smart pyramid says that we've got the tourism system on top, back to Neil Lipier's work for many years, where we've got the place of origin, we've got the destination, we've got the transit region, and we are bringing resources in and we get value out. And we've always said that we really need to make sure that we've got equitable returns for resources utilized. So this is the system that we've been using in the past. What becomes much more complicated is that the system is on top of the pyramid, and the pyramid needs appropriate planning, management, and strategy, needs a very good understanding of market forces and understanding what is happening with the market. It really needs a fantastic analysis of exogenous variables to understand how each of these things are being changed. And of course, it needs the technology and the infrastructure to enable the system to operate by using data and processes in a network approach where you've got interoperability, interconnectivity to develop the smartness for the entire system in order to be able to operate. I think what we've seen currently is the situation is changing so dramatically with a lot of external variables and external factors that becomes really, really complicated to manage the system. And that's why we need smartness. Now, we are going towards 2030, and those of you in Hong Kong Polytechnic University, you have heard me talking about 2030 many times, because this is only 7-8 years away now. But we really need to see how we can achieve the strategic development goals from the United Nations, and how can we move forward towards achieving those by using tourism to be right in the middle of what we do. Because tourism is bringing a lot of resources and it's bringing a lot of value, especially in regions where they are peripheral or they're insular, or whether they don't have a lot of other activities that they can operate. So we see in city centers that we see a lot of different kind of activities, and we see a lot of economics, a lot of finance, a lot of insurance, a lot of development kind of companies that they are creating wealth. In the peripheral areas, we find really, really difficult to see a lot of these things. So tourism is absolutely critical. Although the more you move around in London or in Hong Kong, in different places, the more we start realizing how tourism is critical for actually doing everything from cultural heritage, for performances, for theater, for art, for economic development. Now, I love this guy, Steve Jobs, because he was always at the forefront of what was happening. And he said creativity is just connecting things. And that's his first computer, which I bought in 1987. And ever since, I've been designing systems and I'm designing solutions that the industry should be using and the government should be using in order to develop their competitiveness on a global basis. So a lot of the things I'm going to say to you now are coming from the last 30 years, and they are evolving gradually. But now what's happening is that we've got revolutionary kind of movements, because a lot of things have happened that are putting us in a position that the legacy thinking and the legacy management is no longer appropriate for the future. We really need to look into how we should use new techniques and new management in order to go to the future. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop competitive advantage through differentiation of destinations. And we do that by enhancing the reputation and destination image, but also the business image, and develop business models that are based on innovation and investment towards optimizing the resources in order to bring benefits to residents. This is really important. We do all of these things in tourism in order to bring benefits to residents, because otherwise the residents are going to come against us, and because tourism is really about supporting communities around the world. And this is not new. I've published that in 2000, and this is the most cited paper in tourism in the world. It has been cited more than 6,000 times in Google Scholar. What we find is that all the crises that we have experienced in the last few years have not actually destroyed our assets. The assets are still there. And we need to take our branding and our products forward through a process of experience co-creation to actually develop these experiences, differentiate them, and provide authentic experiences in order to invite customers back in our places in order to engage with the customers. Now, a lot of people around the world, they are trying to go back to 2019. And they said, okay, we had a couple of bad years, but can we go back to the good years? I think what we need to realize is that for a whole range of different reasons, the past becomes irrelevant. And what we need to be doing is looking forward to 2022, 2023, 2030. Our consumers have moved dramatically. Our industry has moved dramatically. Our safety security records have moved dramatically. Our governments have moved dramatically. And all of that has moved fast forward. So we should not be looking at the mirror, hoping to go back, but we should be looking ahead and looking to where we're going to go. I think one of the things that we've learned is that gradually we see the end of what we used to call planning. We used to have a budget for 1 year, a budget for 3 years, and we used to operate thinking that what happened in the past was actually part of what's going to happen in the future. I think what we've realized in the last few years is that this is gone. So we're really looking to agility, and we're looking to agile thinking, agile management, agile strategies to take us forward. And agility is very much related to smartness. And smartness is really about managing tourism resources as a network, because in any case, tourism is a network. We cannot operate alone. We cannot operate unless we've got the facilities from the industry, from the government, from different kind of industries, transportation, health, entertainment, all of kind of different kind of industries coming together for us. And then we need ambient intelligence to collect this data from wherever the data is coming from and to analyze the data in real time and co-create solutions that are going to take us forward. Some of these solutions may be operational, and some of them they may be addressed instantly. Some of these solutions may take a few months. Some of them may take a few years. So but the important thing is that you are looking to the data as they're coming through, and you're looking to your context, and the context is driving a lot of the developments that are happening. For example, I'll give you an example in Hong Kong. I've been coming to Hong Kong for more than 20 years, and I've always been staying for 2 or 3 weeks. But now I'm staying longer. I see a lot of different things happening in Hong Kong right now. The biggest trend in Hong Kong is pet ownership. Much more people in Hong Kong own pets. That creates an opportunity and a challenge for a lot of people and for industry as well. Because if you've got a pet and you'd like to go for a staycation, or if you like to travel somewhere, you really need to think about your pet, your dog, your cat, your turtle, whatever. I've seen a lot of different pets around. So it's really an opportunity for the tourism industry to come forward with solutions for these guys. Because if someone cannot take their dog to where they're going in a restaurant, they are not going to go in there. They're going to look for another place. And that's some of the things that you see that in terms of trends and in terms of context that you see around the world. And that is how we need to start managing in a much clever way. Smartness takes advantage of interconnectivity and interoperability of integrated technologies to re-engineer process and data in order to produce innovative services and innovative processes to maximize the value for all the stakeholders simultaneously. We used to work in the past, and we used to work for profitability, or we used to work for one stakeholder to satisfy the customer at the expense of the local people, or to satisfy the business in terms of making more profit at the expense of the government. This needs to go away, and we need to look how we can use the entire system to actually maximize the value for all the stakeholders simultaneously. And this is really the important thing that we need to look into, how we can take advantage of the context and the real-time data in order to re-engineer processes and products and actions almost on the fly, because we don't have the time to go away, think about it, and come back with solutions, and optimize the collective performance and the competitiveness of the entire agile system. This is really new, and the network performance optimization is a very different way of thinking than what we did in the past, where we were looking into optimization of each individual player. So the taxi driver was only looking about his own benefits, but he was not looking into other things. And was not looking for the environment, for example, or sustainability, or was not looking for the long term. They may take you for a very long ride, thinking that I'm going to get a lot of money from this tourist at this particular moment. But this was creating a whole range of different problems for the destination, for customers, and for different kind of players in the marketplace. So Smartness is bringing the technology as a glue to have interoperable, interconnected, and mutually beneficial systems where all the stakeholders are plugging and playing in this infrastructure in order to co-create value for everybody who is in the system. It requires networks in order to create the interoperability and the interconnectivity. It requires big data and data analytics in order to look into what's happening. It requires the Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything to interconnect everything and operate at the same time. It requires sensors to collect data and beacons to send data away. And we need to look into user-generated content that may be coming from social media and anything else that we can pick up as a signal in the infrastructure in order to be able to develop this co-creation of the experience. It's a very different world, and it's a very different way that we manage networks of value co-creation. Now, a lot of people quite often, they immediately think, oh, this is about technology. No, it's not about automation. It's not about technology. It's not about digitization. It is not about evolution. It is not about social media, and it's not about reservations. It's about all of those things together, plus the co-creation of real-time, dynamic, adaptive, customized, individualized, and contextualized value that is delivered through interoperable and interconnected networks, through mutually beneficial systems, that they maximize the collective competitiveness and the value for all the stakeholders that are out there. It's a little bit complex, but it's not something that you buy from the supermarket or from a technology company. It is a different way of thinking, and it's a way that is going to enable us to engage with all the stakeholders towards maximizing the value for everybody in the tourism system. So you remember we start from the pyramid, from where resources are coming in, they're being processed, and then they're going out on the other side in terms of value. Now, a lot of research has gone into this. So perhaps you can start from this article where it looked into how people, technology, and leadership are coming together in the value co-creation ecosystem, where economic actors, social actors, and technological actors are creating innovations for the market, to create smart tourism destinations. And everybody benefits from that. Then you look into what are the enabling technologies like 5G, artificial intelligence, mobile, and wearables, apps, cryptos, blockchains, and how those are creating innovations that then are meeting the marketplace, where from the one side you've got the supply chain, on the other side you've got the customers, and they're coming in the middle to actually co-create value where the demand is meeting the supply. Now, you notice there that we're talking about virtual reality and augmented reality because at that time, that was kind of the technologies that we have. But now we are working towards metaverse, where a lot of conversation or a lot of experiences will be happening online and offline interoperably in the same place. And we are working on several projects right now to explain how this is going to be happening. Watch this space. This is happening quite a lot because customers require it. Customers need personalization of their services, contextualization, in order to co-create experiences and have instant gratification. They need to have experiences that they are instantly and constantly satisfy their needs. And of course, this is before traveling, during travel, and after travel. Because what consumers are looking is holistic kind of approach when they're traveling in order to understand and co-create value with their context. Now, when you're looking into context, you've got internal context, which is really about the customer, the things that they like, the things that they're interested in, their emotional status, their goals and likes and preferences, and also the external context, what's happening on location, weather, social environment, the season, the political situation, traffic, emergencies, delays, air pressure, light, and things like that. So what we were dealing with in Hong Kong just before Christmas, where we could go out and co-create nice experiences, trying different wines, enjoy different restaurants and different Chinese food, is actually very different to what's happening now, where the preoccupation of people is primarily on staying safe and not catching the virus, because they realize how difficult the situation is in the local hospitals, and they realize that if they've got a health problem, it will be a really difficult situation for themselves. So what was happening 3 months ago is actually irrelevant to what's happening now. In England, it's exactly the opposite. What was happening 6 months ago is not relevant now, because the local regulations have gone that you can go out, not wear masks, go on with your life, because they think that COVID is gone. Whether this is the reality or not, that's another matter. But the context of the consumption and the context of production has changed dramatically. And what we need is people understand internal and external context, in order to co-create value in real time. To do that, you need a lot of data. And with Nicolas Stilos and Jan Zigeral, we did this research on big data empowered agility for domestic volatile and time-sensitive industries like tourism. And we look into how we can use data structures in order to understand what is the context in this particular moment and how this context can actually drive decision-making. And of course, all of those things, it's all about technology, creating data, going up on the cloud, and that comes as a value down to the customer before creating more data to do this route again. We've been doing this for many, many years. So having a proposition from a company going to the cloud or to the market and coming back as a proposition has always happened. What has not happened is how fast this is going and how fast we're going from the circle and how quickly we need to change everything in order to take advantage of the local context. So my colleagues here at Hotel Icon, the minute that the government instructed to close restaurants at 6 o'clock, they start going to take away business. So they start creating packages for people to take away. Now, where we're going towards lockdown, they've just introduced a new service, which is a drive-through service, where you order online and you're driving through or you're passing through, you're collecting your food and you go home so you don't interact. You don't come into the hotel at all. You're just passing by, collecting food and off you go. And it's exactly this that enables us to do this, because we can bring something in the marketplace and then we can see how it goes, what kind of acceptance has got, how the local conditions allow us to deliver something, and then they go forward. Now, with Daisy, we looked into how people interact and how people contact travelers when they're going somewhere. And what we realize is that people are having face-to-face contact when they travel. They meet local people. And at the same time, they've got online social contacts because they're constantly interacting with their friends. They're constantly interacting with their colleagues, their families, and some even stream online their experience and say, look, mom, this is where I've been, and this is what I'm eating now, and this is what I'm doing. And a lot of this streaming and a lot of this interaction is creating major impacts on the experience of the customer, those who are actually creating this, but also they create motivation and intention to visit for those people who are looking at those things. And my student Kaiti in Bournemouth University now is looking to how streaming is actually having an impact on those people experience and how they co-create their experience based on this. Now, we also understand that people are using destination online platforms differently in order to co-create their experiences in different ways. And this research we've done with colleagues in China in looking to what emotional experience does the online platform offers to people in order to engage with destinations. I know I'm going through a lot of research very quickly, but obviously I'm packaging 30 years worth of research here in about 30 minutes, but I'm giving you all the reference so you can have a look on what's happening. This is something we've done with Rosanne Leong about smart hospitality, and we look into how a hotel operator can actually manage the different systems they've got to deal with the different external contexts and develop new ways to manage in an intelligent way through interoperability and interconnectivity with the different stakeholders. So we are looking to how technology can actually develop customer experience, and how one unit, which is the hotel, can manage this with different people. And this is something we've developed, and this is really one of my most critical research outputs about Nowness and real-time service. And we've developed that with Yeyen Sinarta when she was doing her master's with us. And we look into how organizations need to understand Nowness by looking to location-dependent data, mentions, hashtags, sentiment analysis, trending topics, keyword tracking, and competitors in order to understand what they're doing. And Nowness is all about data-driven consumer centricity that supports experience enhancement by real-time co-creation. And because Nowness is bringing instant gratification, it becomes a key factor to achieve competitive advantage, strategic competitive advantage. You remember in the past, we were talking about differentiation, we talk about price. But now what's happening is that instant gratification becomes much more important because people will pay more money to save time, and people will sacrifice how different and individual their products are because they would like the answer now. So if you like a coffee, you may be able to get a coffee as soon as you can rather than go 200 meters or 500 meters away to look for the coffee that you really like. So it's really instant gratification drives competitiveness. And also real time, it's all about understanding what is the context and what triggers a change in the context. And now we've seen that so many times that the context is changing dramatically when things are happening like the COVID situation or traffic or wars or enemies or weather. And this context change is driving a whole range of different experiences that should be supported by real-time service enablers. And the real-time service enablers should be driving value co-creation, and should be driving value for brands, for consumers, and other customers. Again, I'm not doing justice to the paper, but please have a look and see that in more detail. And now with Alicia Bethune, who is actually with us all the way from Jamaica, we're looking into real-time response frameworks for destinations. And this is based on her doctorate. And she's looking how intelligent, interoperable, and interconnected destinations are using smart systems to look into leadership, human capital, social capital, innovation, technology, to understand how they can take advantage of what they can see around them and the context that's around them, and bring real-time sharing of data in terms of co-creation, data-driven, consumer-focused experience optimization, co-creation to support real-time decisions. And that real-time decisions is driving value. This is a brand new paper that we just published in last month, and I think that's going to make a huge difference on destinations around the world that they're trying to manage their resources in a clever way. So ambient intelligence brings together the entire system, and it's supporting a lot of autonomous vehicles, a lot of autonomous devices that they're collecting data and they're managing data. And those will be supported by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and ambient connectivity in order to bring new solutions to the marketplace and to support interconnected environments and marketplaces to optimize the benefit that they're bringing for everybody in the system. So it looks into mobile technologies that they are portable, obviously, and location sensitive. It brings pervasive, ubiquitous solutions, and it's ambient because it's in the entire environment. They are context aware, and they are very adaptive and very anticipatory, and they are understanding what is your environment, what is your need, and how we can take your need forward. That is driving human-to-human interaction between businesses, governments, consumers, employees, interest groups, local residents, and eventually robots and machines, that everybody is interconnected with everything else, and it's managing the different interactions to optimize the value again for everybody. So here you've got customers in the middle, you've got customer centricity, and then you've got Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, the 5G, RFID, mobile devices, apps, cryptocurrency, sensors and beacons, pervasive computing, gamification, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of those things coming forward to support those customers and the environment around them. I'll close with a few things about robots and robotics, because that is something that is emerging quite rapidly, and because COVID forced robots and robotics very dramatically in the marketplace. I don't have the time to play this video, but you really need to look into how robotics are operating in different industries and warehouses in particular. And this is from the Amazon automated robotic warehouse. So you can understand how robots will increase the efficiency of different organizations. And of course, it's going to come in tourism and hospitality, because currently one of the biggest crises we've got is that we cannot find staff, and we cannot find staff for things that people do not want to do. I don't want many people that they would like to be dishwashers. I don't know a lot of people who would like to be housekeepers and do the dirty jobs. I don't know a lot of people who would like to peel onions all day long. So a lot of those things that are unintelligent are going to come to machines, and we need to use our resources and our human resources in a much better way, where they can have interoperability and interface with customers. We've seen things like the Hana Hotel, and we've seen gimmicks like that, but increasingly you see robots that are actually doing something. So this is in Hangzhou. This robot was delivering things on room service, especially late in the evening. And we've done a lot of research. We've just finished a global study with colleagues that was led by a PISM in the United States about what makes hotel managers adopt robotic technologies. And we look into what are the technological context and the organizational context and the environmental context that actually drives this innovation and that drives adoption. And this is my little robot that's following me. He's called Rise in K11, disinfecting the air around us. And this is a very nice robot, the Robot Tea, that's creating tea that Dr. Ada was kind enough to introduce me to. And then this robot will dance for you if you bought a nice tea. So I'll finish with that. This is my latest book on gamification. Again, gamification is really important because it will enable us to develop experiences by supporting customers to gamify their experience and look into their environments in a different way and collaborate with different players in the marketplace. So I know I've gone through a lot of literature very quickly and a lot of research very quickly. These are the papers I've been referring to. Please feel free to read through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Buhalis. We really learned a lot, as you said. You've actually only used 30 minutes to talk about your work over 30 years. That's very impressive. And I think there are a few points that you have highlighted. And you have mentioned that as a destination, the different stakeholders in the destination, how they need to take into consideration of smartness, so that in this time of crisis, what they need to do in order for them to prepare for the revival and the return of the tourist. And then I think you've also talked about the different things that are essential in terms of getting ready for making use of the data, real-time data particularly, so that you'll be able to address the needs and the expectation of the customers in real time. And you've also talked about the importance of instant gratification rather than just appealing to the customers in a very traditional way, just by maybe positioning yourself as based on the price or based on other features. And I think closer to the end of your presentation, you talk about smartness, you talk about robots, which I guess a lot of us are also, I guess, because of this time of COVID, we do have the experience of interacting with robots, as some of the hotels are using robots to take on some of the task. And the last point that you have mentioned, it's about gamification. So I do see that this is definitely a trend. And also this is something that particularly the younger generation, Generation Z, Generation Y, they are into gamification. So tourism destinations, tourism service suppliers, providers may take into consideration when they are thinking about how to reach the customers. I do see some questions on the chat box, so maybe we can take a look at the question that we have.
Hey, can we ask people to open their cameras, because
Sure.
I keep looking into black boxes.
Yeah, I know. For the
Please open your camera so we
if
can
you
have a
have
conversation.
access to your camera, please do turn on your camera so that we can see you. So we do have a question from our audience. So maybe Shivam, are you here? Hello, Shivam, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm here, ma'am.
Hi,
Hello,
Shivam. Would you like to ask your question to Professor Buhalis?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. I'm from India. So I want to ask that as everything has become like online, and after COVID also tourism industry, there is competition, like many like people are like starting their they're starting their new business. So the tourism industry has also been competitive in after COVID era. So I want to ask that what are the unique characteristic, like if I want to open a new company online, so what can I do, like what unique characteristics should I have to grow rapidly? That only I want to ask, that what unique characteristics should I have to stand out from the competitors?
So unique characteristics.
This is a very interesting question, and I'm asked that quite often when I do seminars around the world. And when I explain to people that they really need to look after their customers, they say, this is what we've been doing for the last 30, 40 years. And then when I say to them, but you really need to look after your customers in much more detail, and you really need to understand the context of your customer. And then you need to communicate with your customer in the platform where your customer is. Then they start thinking, okay. And then when we start analyzing this thing, we may find that you can do this with very low tech solutions. One of the biggest technological developments right now is the use of WhatsApp for supporting customers, and also it's the use of WhatsApp for customers to support other customers, C2C co-creation. When I arrived in Hong Kong and I had to be in quarantine for 3 weeks, one of the most reliable sources of information was not the government, was not the hotel I was staying in, was not the tourist board, was not the tourism industry, was not the tourism, the travel agents. It was other customers who are going through a very similar experience with me, and they first networked through Facebook, and then they went into secure networks on WhatsApp where they were helping each other. They're sending pictures of things. They're sending different itineraries, government regulations, and all the rest of it. And guess what? They were customers. They were not part of the industry, because the industry was not fast enough or clever enough to understand what the customers needed. So C2C co-creation became much more important and much more prevalent, and the professionals became irrelevant because they were not providing the real-time information to the people that they needed that information. So back to Sivam's question, it's really about adding value to your customer, and adding value to your customer at the same time, looking into your context, looking into your society. So you may be, I don't know what business you are in, but if you're a travel agent, you may like to build on YouTube 50 different YouTube videos where you're looking into your neighborhood and you're taking people through your destination, and you say, okay, when you're able to come and visit us, come along and I'll be your personal tour guide and I'm going to take you to have similar kind of experience if this is what you're interested in. Okay, so there are a lot of solutions that are actually low tech solutions and low cost solutions that enable us to interact with customers and support the needs of the customer in a clever way.
That's very good. I think the suggestion from Professor Buhalis is very relevant. Definitely, Shivam, you need to look at what kind of business that your platform it's for, and then look at the needs of the customers, contextualize it, and then provide support to the customers, even through different channels, not only your website, but as Professor Buhalis mentioned, you can make use of other social media or other channels to provide support. I guess what customers are looking for is a connection. So being able to connect to the company, being able to have responses to the company probably is something that is very important. So I hope we have answered your question, Shivam.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I will follow this, what sir has told. I will surely follow this. And yes, I understood, like in the like video also, it was shown that we have to do marketing 4.0, like customer focus is very much important. Now we have to only focus on customer. So I will surely follow this. And thank you, sir, for answering this question, sir.
Namaste.
And yes, sir, I have, sorry to interrupt you. I have also one question, sir, that what is the difference between Internet of Things and Internet of Everything?
Well, the Internet of Everything is more inclusive. It's not about one-to-one relationship. It's not about my car is speaking to my garage door. The Internet of Everything is speaking to everything.
Okay, great. We actually
Yes.
do have another question from our chat room. So there is a question. I don't know who this is from. Oh, Eve.
From Eve.
Eve,
It's
are you here,
Eve.
Eve?
Hello, Professor Buhalis. Hello, Dr. Low.
Hi,
Oh.
so would you like to ask your question?
Yes, my pleasure. Yes, thank you, Professor, for the presentation. I agree with you, and I understand. I also agree that real time is the way moving forward, not just the industry, but for every sectors as well. But there's a increasing concern or conflict, I would say, between the individual data privacy and the real-time services. So I just want to get your view around this and any recommendation around how to build trust in advance as hospitality industry to enable the Nowness service in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that a lot of people are asking about data privacy, but actually they do everything in their power to give away their data privacy. They're taking pictures of their food and they are checking in wherever they had a lunch or a dinner. They then use Gmail, which reads your emails, and you're using Google Maps to go everywhere, and you're using Google Maps to manage your transportation requirements. So what's happening is that, and of course, I don't know anybody who has read the terms and conditions every time who connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot, because every time you connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot, or every time that you switch on your data, or every time that you're using your smartphone, you're giving all your privacy away. So it's a matter of, it's a fact of life that we've given our privacy away. Unless you throw your mobile phone and your computer in the middle of Victoria Harbour and you never use it again. Having said that, I think what's happening is we've got a situation where we trade off convenience and value for privacy. So if you order a takeaway from one of the companies that they're delivering the takeaway, you've already stored your address, your telephone number, your preference, your credit card numbers, everything in there. If you order a taxi from a company, the company knows where you are, where you're going, how much it's gonna cost, how many people you are, what is your credit card number, knows the time that you arrived at the place, knows the time you left the place, knows the time you're gonna get the next cab out of that place. So why are we doing all these things? Because we are trading off privacy for convenience. And it's really difficult to say how we're going to address that. Some countries in Europe, where privacy is something really, really important, have brought legislation, and they've asked companies to do particular things. But in reality, what's happening is that they've asked companies to ask permission for using the data. So what in reality has happened is that in the small print, there is one more paragraph that says, I would like to use all your data in order to give you better service. Would you accept this? And within the 8 or 9 pages of small print, that paragraph has got this information. And nobody ever have said, no, I don't want you to know where you are. I don't want you to use my credit card, and I don't want you to know what time my taxi has arrived to a place. Partly because this information is the data that's being used to go forward. Having said that, what's happening is that the degree of using data for marketing purposes or for serving is something that's negotiated between the individual and the company. So I've now have connected my Octopus card with my Visa card in Hong Kong. So every time that I'm going under limit, it automatically adds 250 Hong Kong dollars. Up to the time that I went into connecting with the bank, connecting with MTR, connecting with the Visa company to give them permission to use this kind of data, because now I'm giving them data about how often I'm using it, where I'm going, which stations I'm using, how often I'm using, all of those things. Because before I did that, I had to go to the shop and give 100 Hong Kong dollars and ask the guy to put it on my card, which was taking every time 7 minutes. And also, once I was embarrassed to get into a terminal where I didn't have enough money on my Octopus card, so I couldn't go onto the MTR company, so I had to go back and find a different place to get money into. So what's happening is that we are giving up privacy and data towards convenience, but we will have a conversation with a company and say, this is what you can use, this is what you cannot use. Long answer to a short question, but there is not a real answer really.
Thank you very much, Professor Buhalis. I think you're absolutely right. We, as consumers, we definitely, in exchange for convenience, we're actually giving the right to the service providers to use our data to make it more convenient for us. But I think as the service provider, as the operator, probably it's also important for them to look at the data security as well. I guess maybe in travel and tourism, we have heard cases about data security issues, maybe leaking of customer data. So I guess in addition to what you have mentioned, I would also add on to what are the things that the management needs to work on in order for them to protect the data privacy, to make sure that the data is saved and not being hacked, and also giving the customers the choice and control of what kind of data that they would like the company to use. And they also should have the control over the data that they would like to supply. So I guess these are also things that may need to take into considerations as well on top of that. So let's see, we do have another question. So we have Anil. Anil, are you here?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Anil, would you like to ask your question?
Oh,
I'm so happy to see you.
Happy to see you too. So my question was, see, I have been in the customer service industry for almost 12 years, and I've been trying to, looking for an upgrade. And I saw that, the hospitality is, especially the hotel and tourism, I felt, it is something very unique and it's very interesting. So in a real time, right, how do I, move on from the current role to the other one?
I
So
see.
I had a difficulty, figuring it out. So I thought, you'd be the right people to help me.
I'll try, but what customer service means for you, Anil? What do you do?
See, basically, what I was doing is I started, working from the cell phone and network service providers. So I
Okay.
basically, talk to people over the phone, and I used to address it. Basically, it was a contact centers. So from there, I've been continuously working in the side. So I wanted to come out of the phone, and I wanted to talk to people on a real time, and I wanted to address it, uh, do the
Okay.
real
Here,
time.
here is a real-time solution for you, Anil. It may work and may not work. Where are you based? Which location are you in?
I'm from India,
Yeah.
Bangalore. Bangalore,
Okay, you're
India.
in Bangalore. That's great. So the reason why I ask you where you're from and where you're now is that if you know a place very well, so let's say that you know Bangalore very well,
Yeah.
you can create an online concierge.
Okay.
Okay, online concierge, where normally what we have in hotels, we've got a concierge that's on the front desk. And if the customer needs something, they go to this person and they say, hi, I would like a restaurant reservation. I want tickets for the theater. I would like to tell me how I'm going to place from place A to place B. And especially in tourism, if people have never been to a place, I've only been to India once, and I've only been to New Delhi. So I know next to nothing about India. Okay. Which means that I may have a lot of questions to ask, but I do not know who to ask, and I don't even know what are the right questions to ask.
Correct.
So if I had a local person in a place and I wanted an online concierge,
Okay.
right? You're sitting in your house or in your office, and you've got 2 or 3 screens in front of you, and you're talking to people using different technologies like WhatsApp, on the phone or whatever, wherever they like to talk to. I like email a lot. Other people would like to talk to you on FaceTime, wherever it is. And what you do is you take care of them in a virtual way as they are moving around before, during, and after. So if I was coming to Bangalore, I don't know, for medical reasons, and I want to go to the hospital, and I didn't know which hospital to go, who is the taxi driver who is going to pick me, who speaks Greek and is going to go from take me around and speak Greek to me, because you've got the local knowledge and expertise, and you've got the networks, and all of this is free. You may start a business where you are the assistant, the digital assistant, the virtual assistant, the online concierge of people as they are moving forward.
Okay.
Now, you may advertise it online. You may go to a lot of hotels and say, look, you are small hotels, you don't have a concierge, you don't speak English, you don't do all of these things, and you don't have a nice voice. I trained for 12 years to have a very nice, clear voice to the customers.
Thank you.
And I'm going to actually offer this service to them.
Okay.
I'm going to get commissions from companies that I'm going to sell customers, or I'm going to charge, I don't know, $1 per call or per problem or wherever. Okay. So all of a sudden, from your location, you're supporting a lot of customers using technology, and you're using smart systems because you access things. You access the airport, you access the taxi companies, you access everything else, which I wouldn't know how to do, right? If that works, let me know. Send me some nice Indian food or something.
Definitely.
I think that's very useful, useful suggestion, right? And I think Professor Buhalis tried to match your characteristics and match the skills you have to a possible business venture. So definitely, please let us know.
I'll be a partner.
Thank you. Thank
I'll
you
be a
so
partner.
much. Yeah, definitely. At any time, if you come to Bangalore, I'll be always glad to, be there to
Thank
do
you.
the
Namaste.
concierge, for you guys.
Great.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well,
I'm really
today,
glad.
I think it's a pleasure for us to have Professor Buhalis here. He actually shares with us about smartness, real-time tourism marketing. And at the same time, I think in the discussions, question and answer sessions, we do have quite good insights from Professor Buhalis, not only about the industry as well as also about our personal development as well. So before I actually finish off today's session, there's one thing that I would like to share. Some of you are already enrolled on this MicroMasters program on edX, but I would like to let you know that for our school, we actually will be rolling out this MSc in Hospitality Business Innovation. So this one is a 100% online and part-time program that you can study online. It's 100% online. So it's going to start in the next academic year, which is starting September 2022 to 2023. So application is open now. So if you're interested, you can actually scan the QR code and find out more information. So I guess that's all from us today. Thank you again, Professor Buhalis. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. And thank you very much, students, for being here.
Thank you. Lovely to be with you.
Thank you. See you all next time.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.